What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race.
What's up, Diesel Heads? It's episode 16 of the Chronicles of Diesel, the only show that goes through everything Vin Diesel. My name is Ethan, and with me on this fine July 1st is Devin.
We all deal with being unfairly judged.
I don't think Vin Diesel said that.
I don't know.
There's also like a 2017 Netflix movie called Wheelman that you might have pulled that quote from.
Here we go. I used to feel guilty about owning a console. That one kind of works, at least for what we're doing, which is a video game. Unfortunately, since we streamed it live and we were kind of just playing live, maybe next time I'll have a notepad out to at least just write down any quotes. But based off our playthrough, there was really no memorable quotes from him, which is, I guess, a disappointing thing. But yes, I have a thoughts on that. Yeah, I don't want to go into it right now, but
the story is all. But yes, on this episode of the Chronicles of Diesel, we are covering the 2009 game Wheelman, which we are also going to do another video game as well. We're going to say that for next month, so we're splitting up the episodes because Wheelman is quite a game. I think there is enough to talk about to fill an episode for than I did not expect in the past. So yes, today is only about Wheelman. Next month, August 1st, you'll be able to listen to our thoughts on the Chronicles of Riddick Assault on Dark Athena. But yes, before we do that, let's head back in time to last month of June and discuss what Vin Diesel has done recently on VNN. All right, hit me with the news. What has Vin Diesel done for the month of June?
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to VNN, your monthly news report on everything Vin Diesel in the present. You know, you always come here for the Vin news, and I wouldn't recommend going anywhere else, to be honest. If you're following him on Instagram, well, you got half my sources, but I'm telling you right here, this is all the big news. But yeah, so end of June here. It's a pretty big month for the Vin world. You have Fast 9 dropping in theaters a little over a week ago. No, actually, a week ago. It's been already out in some places worldwide, but domestically it is out on June 25th. We actually went and saw it, but you've probably already heard that episode if you're a big Vin fan, a big Sonic Movie Show fan. We already did a review on that, more of a reaction, kind of just thoughts, so go check that out. But yeah, it's been out now for a little over a week, so that's the big news. And there's been a couple of those small things I'll point out here, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, big news is F9. Last month I mentioned that F9 already had 163 million worldwide, and for its opening weekend, it had, I think it was, let's see here, 70 million opening weekend, which is the best opening weekend for a movie since the pandemic started. Every movie that's been coming out is just beating the record, but I mean, it's also at the same time it's F9, and I looked at previous stats here, not stats, rather monies. According to the Vulture website, compared to Fate of the Furious got 98 million in its opening weekend. So that's really not that far off considering a pandemic,
right?
And some theaters are still doing limited seats. Or maybe just aren't open at all. So that's pretty significant. Hobbs and Shaw got 60 million. So it did better than Hobbs and Shaw in a pandemic.
Now, I wonder, though, so we say like 70 million, and that's assuming that it would have done even more if, it could have been because of the pandemic. But I'm going to ponder this question out loud. Would it actually have done less if there was no pandemic? But the fact that this is, for a lot of people, the first movie of consequence of the post-pandemic, in quotes, potentially.
I'm trying to remember what else would have came out when this was originally supposed to come out. I think it was last June. So a year from
I think it was
now.
Going up against the movie that comes out like next week, which is Black Widow. Then there was also, I mean, remember, No Time to Die was around the corner and all these things. I don't know.
But the Fast,
but
the
I think
Fast
it
family,
almost
the Fast
benefited.
family comes out. They roll up no matter what's happening.
Exactly.
They roll up. So and it shows there that and how many people who maybe took the pandemic to get into the Fast and Furious saga like we did. Like we weren't well, not the pandemic, but a little bit before the pandemic. But how many people maybe just, hey, you know what? I have nothing else to do in this pandemic. Let me watch all the Fast and Furious.
I've exhausted
and,
Disney Plus and HBO Max.
Yeah. So let me check this out. And hey, there's a new movie coming out. And how many people like us? This is their first Fast movie. Who knows? It's hard to gauge all that, but it's still pretty big showing. And then that was from the Vulture, by the way, reported that. And then on boxofficemojo.com, right now the domestic is 76 million. That might be a little off. I don't know how quickly they update it. And international is 335 million. So in total worldwide, $412 million in a pandemic.
Wow. That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. And like it's only been out a week domestically. It might die down once Black Widow comes out. But I feel like everyone I followed on Twitter, who like either they're like athletes or in gaming or whatever it is, right? Politics, even those people I feel like were tweeting about F9. So I feel like everyone has seen it too. Even people who were like on the fence about the Fast saga. I think it, like you said, it's kind of hey, the movies are back. Let me go see this movie.
Remember when Tenet tried, that was their marketing thing? Big movies are back in theaters. And this was like last August.
Yeah, where like it spiked up and got
movie?
worse. Yeah. Yeah. But overall, I think that's a win. And we know now also that F10 is being worked on. And I don't think they're going to be given a smaller budget or anything because of these box office results.
And it's interesting too, Vin Diesel reconfirming that movie is in 2 parts apparently, which
we'll see what happens once it gets into filming, because it easily could maybe be like, no, we want this in 1. But I think it'd be cool if it's 2 movies. I don't know how much the general audiences will care about that. I think as if you're a fan of the Fast saga, that's cool because you're guaranteed 2 movies and
how many long run. Also, okay, by the way, these movies aren't based off books. When like Harry Potter split the last book into 2 movies, or other things where this happened, it's like, oh yeah, they split the last book into 2 movies. They're not making the last movie into 2 movies. It's just 2 more movies. This isn't based off anything. I just realized that. It's not like
they could go on forever, endlessly. I saw a meme actually where it was like it said, okay, Fast 8 was them fighting the submarine, and it said Fast 9 was them doing this thing, and then it said like F30, F40, and it was like them fighting like a smog monster or something. One of them was like fighting looked like an alien microorganism thing in
there are
cells.
Just some franchises that you could legitimately go on forever. Taken is one of them. John Wick's another one. This is one of those things where you just keep adding elements. There's just a new thing.
Doesn't make any money.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But,
and I'm down for that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the big news there. Like I said, I get most of my sources, or get most of my news from his Instagram because it's directly from the mouth of the man. And if you've been following along for quite some time now, we've been tracking his follower count, because that is also very important. Is how is he doing social media? How's he doing social media? And last month he was at 70.2 million. We were kind of expecting maybe a little bump, more than he usually gets around 0.5 million a month, I would say, which is a lot. I mean, it might seem small in his numbers, but 0.5 million every month is crazy. We were expecting some sort of bump from F9. Like people would be like, "Oh, this is my first Fast movie. Who's this Vin Diesel guy? Let me go look him up on Instagram, give him a follow." And I will say there was a slight bump. It's a little smaller than I predicted. He's at 71.3 million, but that 3 is going to be a 4 because he's at, technically, as of this recording, 71,389,830. Okay. So he's
got another 170 to go.
Yeah, so he'll make it there probably by the end of the night. we're honest.
I wish our podcast could do those numbers.
Yeah.
You know, by the end of the night, we'll hit 130 more downloads.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
you know?
oh my God.
But yeah, we've been following that. But on his Instagram itself, usually he does around 7 to 8 posts. He did 11 posts. Obviously hyping up Fast 9. There's a couple videos he did from behind the scenes, some trailers. There was one I really liked with, what's her name there? I have a note, hold up. Helen Mirren. Like a behind the scenes interview with her and how she like said that she's so glad she gets to be in this franchise and that Vin reached out to her to be in it, and how awesome it was to drive their nice ass car in it, which you see in the trailers. But if you go see the movie, there's even more of that, so be on the lookout for that. But she talks about how nice the car was, and Vin says that she's actually a great driver. And yeah, they just kind of talk, and I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, that's dope. I'm glad that they did that little thing there. Then there was some Paul Walker stuff that he usually does, but I think with F9 coming out, I'm sure it's a little bit more emotional for him, considering their history. He posted about 2 cover shoots he did, which is kind of cool. He did one for Billboard. Okay. When you're like, oh, well, is it because of his music? No, not necessarily. They're talking about how Fast and Furious helped become a showcase for Latin music stars and Latin music. And, you know, I think all the Vin Diesel, all the Fast and Furious movies have always had Latin American music in it. And maybe we don't know about it, but it is popular
what I envision
there.
About Vin Diesel in that movies. If you hear Latin American hip hop and you see a black Dodge Charger roll up, that's Vin Diesel. You know, it's always that.
But that was like, I didn't read it. I think it's something you have to pay for, and we don't have a big budget here at the Sonic Movie Show. But from what the headline is, it just says how Vin Diesel turned the Fast and Furious franchise into a showcase for Latin music stars like Nicki Jam and Anita, and it has him along with those artists, and they're kind of standing all cool and shit. That was for Billboard. Then he did another one for Men's Health. Looks like he's on a boat. And he said, great article and really enjoyed shooting for this cover. All love, as he always says. And it's a cool photo. But and then recently it was the Fast and Furious 20th anniversary on, what was it there? June 25th.
That's right. I own the new 4K steelbook of the original movie now. I own that movie twice in steelbook form.
It's crazy to think that Fast and Furious has been around for 2 decades. For most of our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty easy to date it in my mind if I just remember they were stealing DVD players.
Yeah.
Which meant that they were expensive,
still,
which is 100%
like, I'm like, oh, I was like
2001.
10 when that came out. No.
You were 6.
You were 6, 5, whatever, how old we were.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think about. But, yeah, all good stuff.
There are fans that haven't even been born yet. You know?
It's crazy. Yeah. I saw a tweet earlier today that was like, oh, people who were born in 2015 are starting school. And I'm like, shit.
Weird.
So weird.
After we ended it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
High school for us was 2013.
But besides
that is
Instagram...
the decaying of time.
Yeah. But besides Instagram, there was some articles floating around on Twitter. There was an interview with Vin about him and The Rock's relationship and how it's all squashed, any of the beef that was there. But basically, to sum it up, Vin said that he maybe pushed The Rock to get to where he needs to be, even though I think The Rock is in his own footing by himself.
Yeah.
Like, I follow The Rock on Instagram, and he talks about, like, exercise, and even I'm just like, fuck yeah, The Rock. I'm going to go exercise today. I didn't, but you made me want to for a brief second.
You've inspired me to think about positive things.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I can't hate on that. Like, you're a real one. But yeah, we've known about this beef as we get closer to reviewing those movies. The ones that The Rock and Vin are in. Maybe we can touch more into that beef and maybe do more of an in-depth,
I have opinions
exclusive
and thoughts
into that. Then there was also the rumors of Riddick 4, which we've seen that before here and there, along with the Last Witch Hunter. Those franchises possibly
It's
getting
one of those
sequels.
like, yeah, I'd love to do it. That's not news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to do more things that they like to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the biggest one is that F10 is actually just starting to film, or I know they're finished up pre-production. Vin says it's going to be 2 movies. I'm going to wait and see on that until we get like official word from Paramount whether or not that's going to happen. Paramount, or no, Universal, sorry. Paramount because of fucking Sonic. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I think people, like, directors, like, yes, this is going to be a trilogy, and they make one movie and it sucks, and then
Remember,
never gets made.
I think I was telling you at one point, the Weinstein Company, as well as whoever originally had the movie rights to Lord of the Rings, told
TriStar,
Peter
I believe?
Jackson. What's up?
No, TriStar purchased it from someone, I think. But they're the
Yeah,
ones
whoever
who,
had it originally, because
or New Line Cinema.
thankfully,
New Line Cinema was one.
yeah, they were the ones that ended up getting it. They saved Peter Jackson because he was told he could only make it into 2 movies, which was like 3 books into 2 movies, and these are complicated books. Probably not the deepest books in the world.
I don't know how that
but
movie,
like,
the movies would have been
to
if
turn,
they were 2
yeah.
movies.
Oh, he. We've talked about those trilogies enough. Like, those are weirdly perfect movies. Like, the circumstances around them were perfect. You got actors that broke their feet and ribs and acted through those scenes.
You got an
while they
unproven
broke their foot.
director making a trilogy.
Absolutely, absolutely. He was told initially, no, you can't make a King Kong movie. And then he made Lord of the Rings. Like, okay, you can make a King,
can do
make a
whatever
King
you
Kong
want.
movie. Yeah. All right. This has been VNN, so why don't we hop back in time to Vin Diesel's Wheelman. Okay, so then now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Wheelman. So before we talk about our thoughts, I just want a little bit of information given about the
Wheelman.
game. Can I find my notes?
The one and only Wheelman.
So this was published in a partnership with Midway and Ubisoft. Ubisoft did the North American publishing, but Midway did the PAL regions, so Australia and Europe. This was developed by Tygon Studios, which is Vin Diesel's One Race Company's subsidiary video game thing.
Which I totally forgot about until
the logo.
And
Yeah.
then we talked about it. I was like, oh, I've heard of it before. And I'm like, where have I heard this before? Oh, probably because we played another Vin Diesel game.
They got the weird broke Tesla logo.
Yeah.
T thing. Yeah, like they're a studio that only exists. They contract people in to help work on a project, and that's it. It's just to help the One Race Productions, aka Vin Diesel's stuff. But really, the game was developed by Midway Studios Newcastle, which is Midway's at the time, because Midway sold all their shit in the early 2010s, if not right after this game, to Warner Brothers. That's where Mortal Kombat went.
Yeah.
Obviously. And there's Mortal Kombat references and tons of Midway references in this game and license plate, which almost feels kind of funny. I kind of want to look up to see if this was Midway's last game, because if anything, what a game to go out on. But Midway Studios Newcastle was actually purchased. They were not a Midway studio. They were originally called Pitbull Syndicate. They sold themselves to Midway in 2005, so Midway bought them. I just want to keep this in mind, the games that they've made going into Wheelman. Wheelman, obviously, as we know, high intense driving around shit, right?
You made a joke about Wheelman being their last game.
Is it?
It is. 2009, March 24th.
Yeah.
2009. Their previous one before it was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which I have played.
Yeah.
But their first game, listed at least on Wikipedia, is Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, Midway published because that was Namco made Pac-Man,
They did
but
a
then
Terminator
Midway got
2
the licensing
Judgment
for
Day
it,
video
so then
game.
they made their own. Miss Pac-Man was not made by Namco. That was their last thing. Wow, crazy. In any case, we know what the game is because we played it. But to throw this out there for the audience, Vin Diesel's driving around in cars, doing stunts, shooting people, high intense action in vehicles. Pitbull Syndicate, which got bought by Midway in 2005 and renamed to Midway Newcastle, which made this game, made the following games. I've never heard of any of these, but the names alone paint you a picture. In 1997, Test Drive 4. In 1998, Blast Radius. In 1998, Test Drive 5. In 1998, Test Drive 4x4. In 1999, Big Air.
Wait,
in
did they make two of those same games in the same year?
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, but Test Drive 5.
Like, we need to get the second one out within the same year.
The fifth one was Windows, PC, and PlayStation, but this one 4x4 was just PlayStation. Then they did a game called Big Air in 99. Then in 99 they also came out with Demolition Racer. And then also in 99, Test Drive 6.
What?
But this one had a Game Boy Color and Dreamcast version.
Damn, they were
in 2002.
crunching hard those 3 years.
In 2002, I'm assuming this is a Test Drive game. TD Overdrive: The Brotherhood of Speed.
Yeah.
And then after Midway bought them, they came out in 2005 with their first game under that label called L.A. Rush. And yes, I looked up the box art. It's got a car on it. And then Wheelman. And that's it.
Oh, no.
And then they were like, kind of, all Midway shit kind of just got dissolved into Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers is like, yeah, no. Some of these people also like left when Midway bought them to make their own Pitbull new studio. And Wikipedia, yes, I got this off Wikipedia, makes special note that Pitbull Syndicate's logo was basically taken from them and used by lots of neo-Nazi groups because they like the Pitbull logo.
Oh no, dude, this is not a good fate to have.
And apparently, the Anti-Defamation League considers their logo a hate crime symbol.
That's so. This is such a sad. Like, whether or not you think the games are good or bad, like the fact that these people work so hard, and then like their shit just gets dissolved and then reused by fucking neo-Nazis. Like
yeah.
That's such a. Oh, that sucks,
right,
man.
Right.
Imagine that's like us doing this show for the next 10 years. We get dissolved by some conglomerate somehow, and then
hey, if they're paying us, fine.
And then someone's like, "Yep, SMS now means the SS2." You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'll be like, "No,
more
like,
S."
I don't want that on that. Like, I know it's not their fault, but like, I don't want that on my conscience." You know,
and like, who knows if these games are good or not? I've never heard of the Test Drive
doesn't
series.
even matter to me. That's just
but
fucked
regardless, it's clear based off the names of the games that they've had a vision for what they like to do.
And that's
they like
cool.
Mason fast cars.
That's kind of cool.
And this was their final. That. They made because like we played this game, and this is a GTA and Burnout combination game where it's essentially a GTA. But there's an emphasis on car stunts.
More so
I don't really want to emphasize
more so than the GTA parts of it.
It's far more arcadey in its controls, obviously.
Honestly, it's closer to Burnout Paradise than I would say GTA.
Okay, so I think we would then say it's a Burnout game with a GTA wrapping. The context around it is GTA, but it's a Burnout style.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and so like in this. The mechanics of the driving aren't bad. Riding the motorcycle was fun.
Yes.
Even that very last mission,
vehicle in the
when
game.
I was doing the motorcycle, I'm like, I'm having fun. Honest to God fun, even though we've been playing for 9 hours straight. This kind of brought it back for me. But the side swipes you can do, number one, they work really well. And
a little too well at moments.
Yes. I mean, again, very arcadey with the physics. Cars don't work this way. How is he able to just lane swap without
after
steering?
you go like
he just
more than
quickly
15 miles an hour, all of a sudden you can just hip check people into the wall.
Just phase left
forever.
or right and knock them out.
Yeah.
This exact mechanic is used in the PlayStation 5 exclusive Destruction All-Stars, which is more of a arena destruction derby game. And obviously I played that first because I played it back in February. But I'm playing this. Playing Wheelman with you.
Ever do that? Or was it
I've
just
never played a Twisted Metal.
Was it just straight guns? I played the demo on my PS1. I had like one of those PS1 demo discs.
Okay.
I remember Twisted Metal was on there, and I'd play a little bit of it. I'm like, I want to get this. My dad's like, yeah, when we have the money. And then we never did.
Yeah. Such is life. Demo discs were like all the rage. I know people like collect them and shit. Like Final Fantasy VII has like several different versions on demo discs, which is kind of interesting.
It's a good way to have a lot of garbage too. on a disc.
Right. Actually, my PlayStation VR unit came with a demo disc of VR games, not a download code for a bunch of demos, like a disc, which is interesting.
It's funny.
But yeah, I'm glad you looked up and found out that this was Midway's last game, because this is also obviously then the studio's last game. I'm not sure how many of them got like pulled into Warner Brothers and got put somewhere. I don't know. I actually don't really know the history around.
Weren't just straight up laid off, but this is also
because
2008, 2009. You're in the middle of a recession.
The only context I have around Warner Brothers and games at this point is that Batman Arkham Asylum, they licensed that. This is before they had their own game studio. They licensed that to Eidos. Then, during development of that game, Square bought Eidos. That first game is published by Square, which I always thought was weird then. I'm like, but it's Warner Brothers, because I didn't play it right away at the time. Well, no, I played it. I played it before Arkham City came out. Regardless, maybe I didn't think about it until after Arkham City, which was a Warner Brothers game. So now it's all Warner Brothers. I mean, they helped publish Cyberpunk. Their logos on that box are just probably something they don't want now. But
everyone shits on that game, but I think people just like to shit on things personally.
Sure.
But we can that's a whole other conversation.
We're not going to shit on Wheelman, though. For as much dumb shit as the game has, I think there's some, I don't know. There's
a lot of charm. I
was pleasantly surprised. Let me put it that way. But yes, let's take a step back again and talk about the scope of what this game is. It's 2009, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows game, developed on the Unreal Engine 3.
Is that Windows 7 era?
Ooh, Windows 7,
Because like all that's
on
hazy
the cusp.
for me because I was a Mac boy up until
2007 and 8 was 2007 and 8 was definitely Windows Vista era, because my first personal computer I got in 2007, and that was a Windows Vista machine.
Okay,
I didn't understand why anyone said it was bad.
I feel like it's been Windows 10 for like 15 years at this point. I think it has been. I just remember us in high school.
Windows 10?
Yeah.
Windows 10 is like 2015 or 16, dude.
Really? I felt like we were doing that in high school.
When our first year of college there, that's when Windows 8 came out. And then the year after was 8.1 . And then they're like, oops, sorry. Windows 11 is apparently around the corner.
I had a MacBook, so I was on Yosemite and all those operating systems whenever they
No, back then it was like Snow Leopard and cats. It was all cats.
Yeah, it was all Snow Leopard, then it was Yosemite. They went to the mountains.
California.
They're like, we're done with fucking cats. They're all going to be dead in 30 years. You know what will still be there? Yeah. Mountains.
No, they all name them after California places. That happens to be in California.
Oh.
But, yeah. That's why I also hate the fact that their products have to say made in China on them. That's why it says designed by Apple in California, made in China. It's like, whatever, dude. Yeah. If this is a way for you to dodge taxes yet again, who knows? I bet Midway dodged a bunch of taxes by selling themselves to Warner Brothers.
I'm sure.
Right? But yes, for Windows PC, as well as PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, I don't really want to go down the whole developers, everyone in there. I just want to point out, though, one of the writers, Flint Dill, that's Dille, he worked on Escape from Butcher Bay. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Huh. I wonder if Vin made some calls. He's like, I'm not doing it unless Dill's on it.
Yeah, it doesn't say if he was at, and I couldn't find out if he was at Tygon or at Midway. If he was at Midway, then that's interesting. That's a coincidence.
It's probably at Tygon.
Probably they just recontracted him.
Yeah.
Like, hey, because we talked negatively about Escape from Butcher Bay overall, even though there were parts of it that we did like and appreciate, especially dialing back to the era, whatever it was, 2004 or something. I don't remember, right? But it was a success, and it was lauded as wow, this is cool, and it won awards, not big ones, not that there really were back then. PC Gamer probably gave out awards, Game Informer and their magazine, sure, but
best all-right game.
Yeah, exactly. But he apparently won an award for best story in that game. I'm like, okay.
I will say this, that story.
Our bars were low,
but
I mean that one's memorable because it's slow. This one I don't remember because
it's fast, baby.
Yeah. So we're not going to recap the story, But basically, what the game is, you are Vincent Diesel, a.k.a. Milo Burek, who is an undercover CIA agent in Barcelona to do stuff.
Which I totally missed in the beginning.
Yep. I'm sure they said. And I was like,
line.
oh, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Because that's how... I appreciate how much they're willing to just be like, hey, you're just here to play the game. And, like, the cutscenes are mostly Vin Diesel posing. So, like, whatever. We'll get through this together.
Did you ever find out if he mocapped or not for this? Or was it just a straight, we took photos of you and put you on a skeleton?
I would not be surprised. Well, I'm sure someone mocapped the character.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, was he?
But whether or not it was Vin Diesel,
did he sit in a room for a couple hours as they took photos of him? You know what I mean? Did they put all the dots on his face like they do in the camera in the front, like all those choose your own adventure video games that are out now? I feel like all of them do that. You have the actual actors in the bodysuits and the dots all over them. Quick
side note, because I was trying to find this. Well, first off, answer is no. I don't. It doesn't say anywhere if he did or not. But tiny little side note, do you know Elijah Wood was the voice of Spyro the Dragon from 2006 to 2008?
I love Elijah, dude. Shout out to him. Maybe that's our next series 5 years from now. Wouldn't you know? Elijah, would you know? So you can see it's already workshopping. Something like that. Big Wood for Elijah Wood.
So Vin Diesel is in the city, and basically it's not... I'm sure it says at some point, but yeah, this story moves by so fucking quickly, which is great for just wanting to play the game. But if you ask me, why is he doing this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. The game starts off with a mission he's just in, helping this woman, this thief flamenco dancer lady, and then he's immediately like talking to his boss, which turns out is the villain at the end.
There was a part I remember though when we finished the first mission, and they like walk to the car and the car explodes, and then I was like, oh, it's a setup, but then I don't remember who, why, what, and then all of a sudden we're trying to work for three gangs that hate each other, but then we're trying to work behind their back, and then we need to stop them. I don't know. It's all of a sudden it's just like out of control. There's too many characters. They did have those case files that they'll show, which makes a lot more sense why they're showing them to us now that we're like figured out, I guess, by the end that he was an undercover agent. Then like, oh, he has the files because he's the agent, not because it was just like, this looks cool.
See, my thought going through was they're trying to track him, and this is their case on him and what's going on. But yeah, like the story is like he's essentially he's roughing up three gangs in Barcelona, obviously in Spain. These gangs are African American, Romanian, and Italian. These three gangs in Barcelona are Spanish. Interesting. The thing calls out that Chulos, they're an African American gang.
I was gonna ask you,
in
like,
Spain.
African American. Like I was like, or
that's what it says. It says so. That's what I'm like. Do you just mean African Spanish?
Yeah.
African, like, how does that? Or can you just say Spanish? But no, none one has any Spanish accents except the lady on the box.
Maybe they really wanted it to be in Spain, but then they realized they couldn't get any, like, or they didn't want to like make a group of Spaniards. They're just like, no, they're not. That's not scary or stereotypical.
The Romanians are scary.
Yeah, like no one
Americans.
thinks of gangs and thinks of Spanish people, European Spanish people.
Part of me still thinks that, like, and granted, yeah, GTA 4 had come out the year prior, but they were still, maybe that's why they have the Romanians in there.
When did Saints Row come out?
That was on PS2 era. But I'm still thinking about San Andreas and how much of a hit that game was, and that clearly inspired, I feel like, the Chulos gang.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Saints Row, but I think maybe they could have also pulled from that potentially. I don't.
Saints Row 2 was early era PS3 360. I know that, but I think Saints Row the original, the Ubisoft original. No, you know, Just Dance 2022 says a Ubisoft original in the box art too. Like, really, it's hilarious.
Fuck off.
It says it already has your logo. It has your logo on there. You don't need to spell it out again.
Why are they? It's really something that even after all the Ubisoft scandal, that the E3 is still like, yeah, dude, come on in. It just shows you once again that no one actually gives a fuck.
Yeah, well, it's just like, hey, it all leads to the top, and then the top man says, no, it's not, and then the top man's still in charge.
Yep.
All right, that's what happened at Gearbox with Randy Pitchford. He's still in charge.
But I'm saying it's like
there's no one
even
above
just
him.
like we all not saying, when I say we all, you know what I mean. Just like the general gamer verse is kind of just like been quiet about it now. I felt like I don't know.
No, I still see people talk about it.
Not enough.
Because especially Yves Guillemot's final message at the end of their E3 thing and how it's been like a tumultuous year or whatever. It's like, he doesn't even say COVID there. Not that that's the thing Ubisoft ever tries to even. They pretend it doesn't exist. But at the same time, you could also look at it because, like, hey, all of the, I mean, there was that mobile Splinter Cell or mobile Tom Clancy game with the bad guys had the power fist thing, and that was Yves Guillemot's nephew that ran that studio. Never worked on a game before. It's like, of course. I mean, but whatever. Back to Wheelman. So Mr. Wheelman, a.k.a. Milo Burek, which is not his real name. They never say what his real name is. I really hope that they secretly just say it's Vin Diesel.
That'd be
it's
cool.
Actually Vin Diesel. Like, that's his name, is Vin Diesel.
At the end, they're just like, yeah, it was Vin Diesel. You're like, cool. No one's gonna question it.
Regardless if it's literally the actor or if that just is his name.
Or they say Vincent.
Yeah. Martin Sinclair. He is working for these three gangs to figure out more about this big thing. There's a deal that the flamenco dancer lady wants to get, and he needs to get his hands on the plans and the thing in the briefcase and
Which
yada yada
we saw
yada.
in the beginning, I think, and then it disappeared for a while. And then there's like a loose, like, there's supposed to be a political rally or something happening for a brief moment of time. We actually, at one point, one of the levels is you're supposed to meet at the rally with a limo.
And then drive away and then drive back.
And then drive back. Yeah. There was a lot of those moments where it was just...
You start at one end of the city, now drive to the other, now drive back.
Yeah.
Oh, this mission happens to end right where this one starts, and this one starts but needs you to drive across the city again. Hope you enjoy these 4 intersections. The world design is it's a small open world, obviously, because of the era, and like this is a probably small budget. I've been trying to find sales on this game. I haven't been able to really find it, or let alone the budget, which isn't going to be public unless it just got all leaked out during the sale.
Once we get Vin Diesel on the show, we'll have a lot of other
everything.
questions, but that'll be a couple of them. We'll be
exactly.
Like,
we have.
Tell us
we
about
have some
Wheelman. Tell us about Wheelman.
Maybe the interview we'll have with him will be him playing Wheelman.
At least have it on in the background. You know what I mean?
While we grill him, all his war crimes,
his work crimes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's doing all that stuff, and that's just it. Like, ultimately, yes, like he pits 3 gangs against each other, and you get a bit of a choice on who you want to take down first. But then it's only flavoring because then you end up killing the boss of the second one and then the third one as well, regardless of what you choose. It's this gang that tries to take it, that's opportunistic on you at the end, or, it's a bit... But then there's side missions that don't really make any sense because he's supposed to be a CIA agent, and one of them's literally destroy everything.
That definitely was just like...
Mr. CIA man.
We need that one level in Burnout where they get to destroy things.
Right.
It can't just strictly just be like there's not even really any racing when you think about it. It's just straight.
There were racing side quests.
Were there?
Yeah, there was. We did one. We did one of each side mission. There's 105 side missions.
Straight
but we
racing.
did one of each.
Oh, and we
type.
did do the lap.
It was a straight race.
There was a lap thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But besides that, no, they were like they definitely wanted to emphasize on
the car combat, right?
The destruction. Yeah, and the car combat.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Yeah, so
there was a game
but for the story.
There was
purposes,
a game for the.
Sense.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I'm reminded of a PlayStation 2 era game called oh my god, I put it on my Warzone map. What did I fucking call this thing? What was this game called? Hold on.
Bubsy 3D.
This reminds me of a PlayStation 2 era game called True Crime Streets of LA, where it was a GTA clone, but you were a cop. And it restricted so much of what you can do. And like, yeah, you could be a bad cop and literally kill people, but like, it's like, no, you're going to jail now.
You might want to correct that.
One of the, in theory, bad cops. As if there aren't bad cops normally. But yes, this reminds me of that, but it's like, we don't really want those consequences because that game wasn't all that fun because it gave you consequences for doing the thing you wanted to do in the video game. So let's just pretend it didn't happen, essentially. Or even they could even be like, well, you're an American CIA undercover agent. It doesn't care what you do as long as you get the job done. At the end of the day...
Which is kind of accurate.
Canonically...
Especially in other countries.
Canonically, he's had to have destroyed so much property. He's had to have. Regardless of side missions or how well you do in the actual missions.
We figured out pretty quickly that this is not really Barcelona, Spain. This is just a purgatory world where no one really
Yes.
dies or lives. It's just Vin Diesel's playground, basically.
Some people are really good at driving.
Yeah.
The AI likes to rubber band when you're doing chases. They fuck you over for no reason. They'll spawn new guys in out of walls sometimes just because it's like, all right, the player really quickly dispatched the first few guys, and this is supposed to be a chase that you can't catch up to, so we need to throw more people out right now.
Yeah, that one level there where we had to run from the cops, we couldn't go to that one the end of the level. You couldn't go to the glowing blue. It wasn't even a circle. It was just kind of like a light that you had to go to. But we sat for like a good 15 minutes just trying to get rid of the cops because the AI is pretty good by following you and cornering you and also spawning in randomly.
Yeah.
Like at that one point, we were like, okay, we got rid of it, and then of course it just happened to turn around and go towards it. They're like, nope, fuck you.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna camp.
Yeah, basically,
we know you need to bring the flag back here.
Yeah,
so we're gonna wait for you at your home base.
Yeah,
this Halo multiplayer right there. Now, granted, yeah. So I think there was 7 different mission types, for a total of 105 missions, and continuously doing the missions, the side missions. There's also, I believe, 31 main missions. Doing the side missions increased your stats. So I'm not sure how we would have fared because we literally did one of each just to see what they were like.
As we unlocked them.
It was like just did them one of each. And there wasn't even 105 things on the map, which makes me think that as you do them, you unlock more. Which doesn't make any sense because I'm pretty sure the gangs that are all dead now are the ones that gave you those missions.
Who cares, dude?
But whatever, right? Gameplay. So that might have been easier for us if we did more of the stuff, but who knows? They made the game playable this way.
A challenge.
Exactly, we did it. I don't think this game gave you a difficulty option.
Don't remember there being
one. Do you remember?
No, I think you
them
pressed
being
start
like...
and it was straight up to the cutscene. Like they just started. They didn't have even,
which is great.
Any sort of tutorial. I don't really remember either.
Yeah. I do want to point out. So the story was confusing to us because, in a good way, the game wants you to just get to the parts where you play, which is probably why someone bought the game anyway. But for the case of the story's sake, it moved so quickly. Cutscenes happen so fast. There are moments where, like, a cutscene ends with, like, all right, Vin Diesel or Milo Burek needs to go here and meet with blah, blah, blah. And then that's then like, okay, the new mission pops up. You can select on the map. You click it and opens up. You're already in gameplay. You're getting shot at, and it says, "Oh, it was a trap. They found out that blah blah blah." I'm like, wait, why can't you have a cutscene to show this? You're just straight up saying it as Vin Diesel's getting AK'd in the face. Like, what? Like, you're not. No one's saying this. Just text on the screen pops up. So like, some of it feels very half baked. The story is so dumb. All of a sudden, at the very end, we have a villain. It makes
me think that like they wanted the levels. They thought of like the levels in terms of the gameplay part of it, and they're like the story's just gonna intertwine with it, and they didn't really.
Yeah.
Like they had the set pieces. Like there was the arena there where we basically went in a circle for 5 minutes, and that was a pain in the ass. You know, like the idea was cool, but I don't think it was executed very well, at least for us. Like I think they they had those ideas, and that was probably their biggest story. And I feel like the story kind of came later as those things were already being developed or finalized, rather.
For sure, yeah. There's a couple actual set pieces. You're right. The Coliseum, which is only used for that. The subway, which
went on way
was
too long.
reused, but like the thing we didn't mention is this game also, when we say it has a GTA wrapper around its burnoutness, is because you can get out of your car and walk around and shoot people. Apparently, there's also a melee button. We didn't find it. The tooltip during a loading screen said melee, and we couldn't find it. Also, don't know if he can jump or not, because I couldn't find any way for him to jump either,
dude,
which was annoying as hell.
Yeah, there's moments where he easily could have skipped. There was some moments where like I was able to get around their like, they wanted you to kill everybody, and I was able to like get around it. I think there was one part where they wanted me to go through like a junkyard or something, and they were all like generally in the middle, and then I just found a pathway from the right, and all I had to do was kill like 4 dudes, get into the big truck that they wanted me to get into, and drive off. I didn't have to fight any of those dudes, so I'm like, thank God. So I was trying to cut corners towards the end there, and it allowed me to. But I would have cut so many more corners
if you could jump.
Oh
my God, dude. Maybe I'm going under the assumption, because we didn't find the melee button, so perhaps there's a jump button. But I'm going under the assumption that there is no jumping, and my theory is, the low budget that I assume exists in this game, because we've played it and we can tell, like the graphics were definitely below par even for that era of gaming. GTA 4 looked better than that, right? My theory is that it caused way too many problems, so they cut it. There was jumping, my guess. You could clip into corners and you could get stuck in debris, and then we would have to remake all of our rubble objects and redo the geometry on the walls. Let's just cut the jumping. Do we need jumping? My argument is also, do you need the walking
when they were
or the shooting?
testing for the story and stuff, that people were just jumping around and not actually interacting with
when you're a playtester, you're told, hey, try to break the game. And then you run and jump in every corner. You try to do every stupid thing possible to clip out of bounds and fly to the sun.
You always see ads for, or I always see ads for, be like, become a quality tester. You know, it's a great job. Do you love video games? Become a quality tester. I'm like, no, that sounds like
here's how you'll hate video games.
Sounds boring as shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't end up hating the game.
And
it could be the best game you're making. It could be the best game ever that you're working on, and you're gonna fucking hate it probably by the end.
Imagine being a QA tester working on like Fallout 5.
Yeah.
Fallout 76's QA tester. Oh my God. Or even Cyberpunk. Imagine being a QA tester on that and being ignored. Nope, we're launching the game anyway. Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? No,
don't.
My
Give me. We need another year.
I mean, but even I'm just saying, even for like games like that are polished. I'm saying Last of Us, for example, I know is usually known to be polished, and there are some bugs I encounter. But like even that, I'm just like, you probably would hate that shit after a while.
That's how you end up hating games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're gonna be a QA tester, this is my advice to someone that doesn't have the job and doesn't understand what you go through. My advice is, don't go into the genre of games you like. This way you don't have to have your heart broken.
Don't do QA for Wheelman.
Stick away from them. Exactly. But that's my theory in any case, that there was jumping, because you can jump in GTA.
Yeah.
But then they cut it. One thing I will say that they improved upon on GTA, that Rockstar still to this fucking day does not get, that no one likes. Wheelman, you can hold X to run. You don't have to fucking mash it like a maniac.
You're right.
Red Dead Redemption 2 still does that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Because it's like real life, dude. You ever jogged? It's like twiddling your fingers.
You have to put stress.
Yeah.
Some people that spoke off the record said it's just because of like one producer or whatever that's been there in the company since the 90s says he wants it and he doesn't get it.
You know how you get around that? Blackmail. Just kidding. Don't do it.
Murder.
Out them.
Exactly.
It's Johnny John or whatever his name is. Said it to the media anonymously. This guy sucks. He won't.
I guarantee
let me change the
GTA
jump.
6, if that ever comes out, you'll still be mashing freaking the X button or the A button on Xbox or whatever to run. Like, I get it.
Can't
GTA 3 was
it,
2001. Maybe? Well, there are accessibility options on modern consoles now that I wouldn't be surprised
like
if that's an
Xbox,
option.
Xbox controller?
Yeah, that $100, which is a giant NES pad that doesn't come with anything else to. It's so expensive to do that. It's almost like you need an expert on games to help the person that wants to use that to save them money. On the it's
good idea, but maybe not executed
great
well.
idea. It's not supported like anymore though, really, by peripheral makers. In any case, it's definitely a PR thing, but I'm glad it exists. In any case, I wouldn't be surprised because The Last of Us Part 2 and Uncharted 4 had an accessibility option where you could swap the mash square to push the door up. You can just hold it. Because some people can't do that physically, And I'm sure the Rockstar director would probably say, well, then those people shouldn't play games. You know what I mean? Or like the people that are like, don't make Dark Souls easier. They shouldn't play it then.
I was going to say, technically, my reaction time ain't good enough, so help me out.
Exactly.
Make them move slower, please.
I gave you $70. Let me enjoy you.
Please.
Fucking video game. So I'm glad that you don't have to mash X to run. You can just hold it down. You just get tired, though, pretty quickly.
Shout out to the accessibility that is Wheelman.
Exactly. And yeah, overall, I mean, the controls are good for the driving. But the point I wanted to get to and have us discuss is the non-driving, the running around and shooting. Apparently there was an RPG we never found. But there's like 6 or 7 different guns, and they're all terrible.
There was an RPG?
It's one of the... Apparently. That's what it said.
No one. I think the only time we ever got rockets even shot at us was from the helicopter, which
from the helicopter.
We never fought. Weirdly enough, you think that'd be something we'd fight in this kind of
Where
game?
does it go at the end?
He's out. It's out.
It just leaves.
They were paid for the hour.
Yeah.
They're like, oh.
Actually, you know what? The bad guy in his whole rant about how he's actually doing us a favor by trying to retire because he was secretly a bad guy and blah 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 says, I hope the men I hired to protect me are keeping you busy or whatever. So yeah, he definitely paid just rando mercs.
Yo, can you bring your
helicopter
over here?
This is one of those rare PS3 games that has aiming and shooting on the triggers. We're used to that now on PlayStation. Xbox 360 also had them on triggers because they had better triggers than the PlayStation 3 controller. But this is one of the rare ones where, yeah, you aimed with L2 and shot with R2. Or you could aim with L1, but you can't shoot with R1.
I liked it. It just felt good.
I mean, it was whatever.
I mean, that felt good, like amazing. Like I've definitely played.
It didn't feel bad.
Like Call of Duty, I think, has mastered not right click. Jesus, the aiming and shooting, you know what I mean, quickly.
Well, yeah.
But
my point is that the controls are weird. But in any case, yes, L1 is free aim.
That was weird.
L2,
that was the weird part about it. But I liked it, though.
L2 is just instantly snap to the closest person.
Which I also
is
appreciated.
Required because this game sucks. It wouldn't feel fun. That's why the first big shootout sequence that we did, which was in the subway, where you go all the way down one subway to get all the way down one tunnel to get a guy, and then you come back out the way you came, which is obnoxious. I was free aiming because I felt it was more entertaining, more fun than how cheap and easy it is just to quick aim.
It was more
but then when getting towards the end, it's like, all right, no, this is bullshit. We're quick aiming, making this easier.
It honestly felt more like, I don't know if it was their purpose to do this, but at moments it wasn't even like I didn't feel scared of dying because of it. Like the fact that it was aim for me, I just had to wait for them to peek and just tap.
Yep.
And then basically in the end, it just was like, this level is just time consuming rather than fun. I'm just getting through this. It's only a matter of time before I beat this, not a matter of skill or strategy. Right. It's just like, nope, get behind cover.
There could have been,
you're gonna rush me. I peek. Tap.
There are some Uncharted sequences from that era where it's like, all right, yes, you could sit around and wait all day, but there is now a thing pushing you towards your destination. You can't just wait.
It really was.
So it's kind of,
it really was dollar store Uncharted. The aiming.
It was unnecessary.
It wasn't.
Why was it?
Could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. I think honestly, moments of when we played, Jesus Christ, Chronicles of Riddick, that some of the aiming was real bad at moments or bullshit. At least it let us auto aim So I'll give you a 1 star at least for that. If you make it
Yeah,
easy,
I
I like
mean-
getting my hand held in video games. So thank you. But at the same time, it hurt the games in terms of when we got to those levels, where eventually it just felt like, okay, we either shoot the barrels or we just wait this out and slowly
Right.
go through everybody.
Your strategy never changed. You
Yeah.
didn't
Once you figured it
strategize
out, it
any
was
differently either. It was there was just more guys.
I just find
not
it puzzling
more
that they
things
didn't.
to do.
They weren't more creative in that because they had some creative moments with
I
the
bet it was
with
such
the
a-
car
a-
stuff.
A B thought of like, all right, Ubisoft and Midway, our publisher, says the driving's not enough. They want a GTA. They want their GTA. So I guess we got to do this now, guys. Can we map the world so he can run on it now? You know what I mean? Because like one thing I do also appreciate, you can just quick jump to any mission. You don't have to run there like you do in GTA. You just need to be in a car, which makes me think, again, my theory, at one point this was just cars. Yeah, maybe you could run around, but you couldn't do anything besides steal another car. Like, it was all just the car stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I appreciated that, like, no, you could just, as long as you can get into a vehicle, you can start any mission. It just warps you there. Now, granted, it might not tell you if the side mission type you're doing is great for a motorcycle, if it's, like, destroy everything, if you don't know. You know what I mean? Going in, but, like, sure. So the shooting is such a shit show. It's unintuitive, it's unimaginative, and it's uninteresting.
Yeah,
but at least it wasn't
the buttons
terrible.
I thought were cool at first, and then it just got old.
Yeah, exactly. But the car combat was great. So yeah, you drive with R2, and you can steer, or you can brake and drift with L2, or you can handbrake with the square button.
I only used square, to be honest, most times when I was
Really?
driving.
I think I started off with L2 and then I stopped to square because at one point the prompts kept saying to use square, so I think my brain was just like, just use the button they say. And it's decent driving. I mean, looking at the pedigree of the people that made the game, like they made a lot of racing games, like you could tell that there is some knowledge or effort put in to this. Like, it almost feels like a different game than the people that made the shooting parts of the game.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
It's kind of disappointing that they had some creativity with that and then not with the gunplay.
Yeah. The cars feel all speedy, even the big van. So you have a focus gauge that builds up when you destroy stuff, smash bad guy cars, go faster than the speed limit, which essentially just means as long as you're driving, you gain
Speed limit
focus.
was like 10 miles an hour, I feel like.
Right, exactly. As long, I feel like, yeah, you're doing bad shit, you're speeding. It's like, bro, I didn't use my turn signal, and I'm not even in a lane anymore. That's about as much illegal shit as I'm doing
Now
right
that
now.
I think about
I'm
it,
going 15.
is there any game that does have the gives you the option to do a turn signal, or even put your hazards on? Any light stuff besides like headlights if you're driving at night? I'm sure.
I
there's a
bet
game
simulator games do, but like, what buttons would you map that on?
I don't know.
Like, think about GTA. Like, there's a lot of buttons you're using.
I'm saying, like, even the steering wheels don't have the little handle that where, like, you click it to go left or, put your blinker on left or right. You know what I mean?
All right.
Someone add that just for the realism.
Maybe they don't need them in Barcelona. Funny thing we learned about that game. All right, about that country, or about that, you know what I'm trying to say.
City.
But yes, but you can use that focus gauge to boost, which you could do even when parked. Essentially, as long as, because when you're not moving, it basically depletes itself instantly. And then you can use it to do some slow-mo aiming out the front or spin around and shoot behind you.
Which was cool.
Which is pretty cool.
I don't think any other game I haven't played every racing game, but I've played a decent amount, I feel like. And there's been no game... Usually all these games have the boost feature, and you're like, okay, so that's expected. Mm-hmm. But, like, actually, because I wanted to say, we forgot to say in the beginning, I said it on stream, is that I've seen someone play this back in, like, 2011 or whatever, so quite some time that I don't remember it. I just remember the three things about it was the crazy, like, jumping mechanic that Vin can do, and the slow-mo stuff. And then once it was happening, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is still in this, and it's
hey,
cool.
It worked, because guess what? Those are the things that are good. I mean, the smashing into other cars are also done really well as well. But like those are what's unique about it, to my knowledge as well. And they're fun. It is fun to do the slow-mo. It doesn't punish you. Because, yeah, how is he really going to turn around and shoot, and then turn right back around as if there's no issue? Like, that's not realistic. Fuck it, though. It's cool. And this is an action movie video game. So I liked those. You can then also, with the right stick, you can lurch left or right or forward, but it doesn't really... My thinking is it's less of like a boost forward to hit something, like the lateral left and right movements, and more of like, if you're going to hit them, you might as well press forward, because then you'll actually bump them better. I think that's kind of how it works. But that stuff's really solid. It's really good. It's like, some of it doesn't make any fucking sense at all, and you can do it basically as soon as you're going more than 3 miles an hour. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. But, like, it's really fun, and it works for the type of game. At high speeds, it makes sense.
Honestly, like, I almost want this featured. Like, I almost not expect it, but I almost want this feature in other games that have cars now from now on. Like, the next GTA, you better give me a mode where I can spin the car around and shoot, at the very least.
Right. If you're going to have GTA Online let you have flying cars and shit, actually make the racing arcadey. But yeah, I was saying PlayStation 5 game Destruction All-Stars literally uses these, because that game's all about destroying your opponent's cars. Like, great. I'm not sure if you literally lifted that off of Wheelman or you just came to the same idea yourselves, but it's a good idea, and I want more car games with it too. But the one thing that is super unique and actually isn't all that bad of an idea, and I do want to see it in other games of this style, is what they call airjacking.
This is
which
the
is
most memorable
carjacking
thing in this game. And like I said, when I watched someone play it, how many years ago? When we were workshopping this show, I remember being like, "Oh, Wheelman's on this list. Fuck yeah, Ethan's gonna love Wheelman." And I'm like Ethan, there's a part where he jumps out of a car and goes to another car, and it's wild. But I didn't remember it being called airjack.
It's carjacking, but done through the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, and it's done simply enough, and the challenge in it is apparent in just driving. If you're able to tail behind another car, not tethered or anything, just if you're behind another car that's also moving, you can hold the circle button down, or I guess it would be the B button on Xbox. We played on PlayStation 3. The B button on Xbox, circle button on PlayStation. You hold it down and an arrow appears above the other car. If it's red, it's a no-go, but as soon as it turns green, if you release the button, Vin Diesel jumps out of his car and lands on the other car, climbs in, and immediately starts driving. There is no failure in it. It's always guaranteed. There's no ragdoll physics or anything that might prevent you from airjacking. You always airjack.
Yeah, even if like someone was like maybe right in between you, you'll do it anyways. Or if your car just got shot the fuck up. There was one point I think where like our car got hit as we were letting go of it, so our car like flew like the opposite direction, and he still had enough inertia to make his way to the other vehicle.
Yeah.
It
doesn't make sense,
so
but
good.
it's great. It's great. You can't airjack cars that have people that are trying to kill you, or really just trying to shoot you. If they're shooting you, you can't, which makes sense. Although we definitely airjacked. No. We just regularly carjacked a police car that was parked, and they immediately arrested us, even though we were driving.
It let us do it, and then we got arrested. That's right.
Yeah. Because I think the guy we kicked out of the car immediately pulled out a gun and said, "You're arrested."
My one critique, though, is it didn't let us use it enough. And at moments it felt OP, but other moments I feel like when we really need a car, there was nothing to airjack because all the other cars had bad guys in it or cops in it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. Bad guys in it. And we couldn't go anywhere, or we couldn't, like, make it easier for us because our car is also on fire. So what we had to do most of the time was just jump out. And at least it was pretty lenient with that. At the very least, it was lenient enough that when if you jump out of the car, you're not taking much damage, if at all.
Oh, I mean, you could crash, especially with the motorcycle. I have a few clips on Twitch now of us crashing on the motorcycle, and it will fling Vin Diesel. He should be dead. He takes 0 damage because A, Vin Diesel is invincible while driving the cars, unless he's being shot at through the window. But even then, like, you're really not in any danger. And B, the cars have so much durability to them. you can easily go most of your time playing the game without realizing that they can blow up. We thought that you were invincible, so we really pushed some of these cars to the limit, and eventually it's like, you just can't drive it. It just stops accelerating, and as soon as you get out, then it explodes.
I think we only died like 2 or 3 times from it, actually, like us being in it while it exploded.
Exactly. And that's just because of negligence, not necessarily like...
And when the explosion did happen, it could be right next to you. There would be like no damage. So it was very, very lenient on
Exactly.
They definitely wanted you to jump from car to car and whatnot.
Exactly. And like that stuff worked.
But then there'd be moments when a car, like, I feel like 10 meters away would blow up, and all of a sudden Vin would ragdoll his way the opposite direction from the blast. And there's a lot of jank in it, in ragdolls. So if you're into like ragdolls in video games, I know people will be like, "Oh, game's bad because it has it." And I'm like, no, I love it. We need more ragdolls in video games. If anything, I feel like everyone's becoming too realistic and whatnot. Bring that shit back. Bring that shit back. There's a couple of games I've been playing recently that have it, and I'm like, you know what? I miss this. Bring it back.
Yeah, it's way more entertaining to see Vin Diesel careen through the air with his limbs somehow still attached to his body and hit a pole and just get back up and is like, all right, where's the next car? You know what I mean? Then if the game was just a straight up GTA clone.
He's like a rubber Terminator.
If that was GTA, it would have said wasted the moment your heels left the ground. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's like this. So is there anything else gameplay we want to talk about, or do we want to just hop into his like performance and shit?
I'm trying to think. Like I said, we didn't like the shooting mechanics of it.
Some of the missions felt long and like poorly designed in that sense, but like there was spectacle to some of them. Trying to chase down a subway train and shooting out the connections between the cars on it was interesting. Too hard for its sake, though, because
there's at one point we had to fight another truck with a milk truck, and that got a little annoying. Like I'm like, this is cool because we don't do it that often, but you also don't make it like 25 minutes. Like this should be like 3 minutes tops, because then like you can maybe add in later in the game a replay level option. Like if I really care about that, playing as the truck again, or maybe you have a garage that you can go and grab any vehicle that you beat or
because there is a garage, but all it does is let you heal the car you decided to keep. Like, why would you keep this car? There's like
that's one thing they
missed
like in this game.
5 or 6 cars,
some sort of like either call car system or just a car storage system. I think that would have been cool, or added some end game stuff besides the challenges. Granted, we didn't spend.
You beat the game. You can now just decide what car you want to drive at any moment.
You want that milk truck you drove for that one level? Go ahead.
Right. There was a mission where you had to destroy newspaper shit.
Yeah.
The only newspaper I've ever seen that has billboards for it.
I will say sometimes the navigation, in terms of not on the mini map, but in terms of like what they wanted to do next, was either sometimes so vague, or they said it once and then never said it again. And we were like lost. Then we had to restart levels, and then we realized, oh, we weren't wrong. They literally just said to do this, and like we just didn't understand the mechanic enough, or it was.
There's a mission where you have to tail someone, and it kept saying, "Hey, you got to make sure that you don't get too close. Oh, he saw you in the car. Hop to another one." And then like I was following this man in the same loop forever, and it never gave me any prompts, and I thought I was doing good. I just thought it was long.
We restarted.
Yeah,
and I did it, and what I did is just. So, like, it was green, orange, and red, I think, meant, like, you're too close. Orange, I think he meant, oh, he's maybe looking for you, but, you know, you're kind of fine. There's ones where I just, like, I lost track of him or something, and eventually it was like, oh, he got to his destination, now meet him there. And I'm like, oh, so we actually didn't really need to follow him at all.
It was just to, and he was going to a place that we already knew existed. My favorite was, you had to airjack this car before it got to the man's hideout, but then they had you drive him to the hideout anyway. And like we a couple times failed the mission because he got there, but we had already killed all of his hired people. It was just him and us. What's the difference between him getting there and us armed and no one else to protect him, or us in the car driving him there? You know what I mean? But like obviously that's just, if we had $100 million, we can make all these different scenarios and fringe cases of the missions, but
Yeah.
they were a diverse set of missions. It didn't really feel like the missions themselves repeated each other, besides just the map being the same fucking city and not being all that big. I wasn't upset at the what the missions were about. At one point, they actually tell you, just drive slowly so you don't alert suspicion. You're not supposed to be you. You're supposed to be the limo driver or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I thought they're okay. Obviously, we only did one of each side mission type, but they're supposed to be repetitious.
Can we talk about real quick too of the side characters being like annoying when we had to help them? Because we didn't even interact with them that many times, but like the constant calls happening. I know GTA does this too, and even in GTA when I have played those games or watched those games, I just find that shit annoying. Like I'm trying to play the game, and it's like when someone's trying. It's like when mom comes in your room when you're hard gaming with your friends, and she's like, "So how was school today?" And then they're like, "Mom,
oh my god,
Mom,
Go
I am
away.
5 kills away from getting the nuke on Rust. All right,
We're playing Halo.
I'm 1v1ing this kid in Rust. I'm 5 rounds away or 5 kills away from getting the nuke. I'm gonna dunk on. I'm dunking on him so hard already, but I'm about to nuke him. And Mom, you're coming in here asking me how my school day was. Do you see what I'm doing
My
right now?
friends are here. You're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
Order more pizza.
So bad.
Exactly.
Be nice to your mother.
My friends brought their Xboxes over for a LAN party, and you're gonna embarrass me like this?
But I like the idea that like you're like so good. You're like destroying all your friends, so even your friends aren't having fun. Like
and then Mom comes in to embarrass.
Like that's what I said. Like you're already doing so well in COD that you're just trying to get the nuke. Like you're already beating them. It's already over, but you're just like trying to get the nuke, and your mom just comes in being like, "Did you do your homework? Shut up! I'll do it after I kick this kid's ass."
Story time. So I will say, performance-wise, Vin Diesel was... It's hard to really... Vin Diesel was okay. It's hard to really nail down, like, comparing this to the movie roles. Or, I mean, this is better than the previous video game of him that we played in, right? But at the same time, like, does that mean it's necessarily really good? Is it hard for me to detach his movements with the mocaption, that we can't even confirm whether or not it was him that did the mocap? You know what I mean? Or just like the fact that everything is so low poly. Like even for that era, those are low polygon.
It really felt like an
models.
Xbox game instead of a 360.
Which is hilarious because I feel like Escape from Butcher Bay looked better than this, and that was an original Xbox game, and this is a 360 and PS3 game.
No, you're right. You're right. See,
that
Xbox
was a good-looking game on the
PlayStation
original
again.
Xbox. Exactly.
Console wars are over.
Yep. Now your TV is an Xbox. I remember when my Sony TV here, I could stream PlayStation Now games, and then Sony took it away. Straight to the TV. Nope, now Xbox is going to do it.
Now
Sony could have been
Xbox
ahead of
got
the
the
times.
nuclear codes.
Exactly. Nintendo over here, though, making Metroid games again, so I'm happy. Yeah, what did you think about the performances of just the cast?
That's the thing is, like, I don't even want to say Vince's performance is bad. I think he was the best out of everyone, but he had the most lines, I think, out of everybody. Everyone else was just kind of stereotypical for those type of characters. No one blew me away. There was no like I struggled to find a quote, and like I said, I should have probably written some lines down, but at the same time, I was hoping there'd be
went by so fast.
I was hoping there would be some zinger that would happen from anybody, and no one really did say anything. Like, it's just very unmemorable in the sense of it was boring. Like, I'm sure, like, it was good in the sense of like no one sounded like they didn't care while they were recording the lines. Like, everyone acted, just that the story was bad or not interesting to me. That it happened so quickly that I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, great. Yeah, it really did feel like like I was giving it praise earlier about how like, I just want to get you back into the action, back to playing, yada yada. This era is definitely all about actually games are really cool storytelling. We want to show how cool our stories are. I almost think it's more of just like a budget thing of like, all right, we got to get this going now. The scene needs to be done. I mean, we can't afford to keep this stuff for rendering all this shit. I do agree Vin Diesel's performance is better than the other people just because it's supposed to be. It's about him. I'm sure, like, he got more takes or whatever for his lines than other people got. I do also find it interesting. His character is essentially another Vin Diesel type of character. A guy, he is pitch black Riddick, essentially. He just knows everything. He knows when someone's bluffing. There are times when this man walks up, just casually strolls up to gangsters he just ripped off, unarmed,
and they have guns and shit.
Exactly, and he knows he's gonna live just because that's what he is, right? This to me goes back to this is the bad Vin Diesel type of character.
Dude, now I remember. I think there was one scene. I don't remember who it was, but it was like basically said, "Oh, you're so right." Like he wasn't really right though. I remember I don't remember what the context was, but there was one scene at some point that happened where they're just like blah blah blah, and he did his holier than thou kind of statement, and they're just like, wow, you're so right. And I'm like, I remember that happening, but I don't remember who said it, what the context was, what the actual sentences were, but I just remember that was the impression I got. Just like, okay, he knows everything, he's done everything, he's better than everyone else. He's here to drop knowledge on you, which you didn't even ask for. He's 10 steps ahead.
Yep, he is a sage, a prophet, and the deliverance itself. He is Vin Diesel. Exactly. And I mean, like, it kind of works for a game like this, though. Even though I do find it like, whatever, dude. Especially in the movies where I find it annoying, especially in Pitch Black. But here it's like, all right, well, this man is jumping from car to car. He's doing all this shit. Clearly, he has proven that he is on some sort of supernatural level.
Yeah, he's at least
fine with it.
A demigod. You know what I mean?
I hate all these other characters, so I'm okay if he is a know-it-all little bitch to him. I'm okay with that, you know? Yeah, this was okay. I don't know.
Nothing blew me away. Like I said, it's unforgettable. The fact that we lost the plot within
the
first
forgettable
hour, like, just is. Yeah. I think it was more of a story issue / time issue than necessarily the actors being bad. But then also at the same time, the actors didn't blow me out of the way to make it to try to save the story in any way. Like, I guess you can maybe put a little bit on Vin to be like, you need to make this better, or you need to maybe act a little bit better to maybe make the story more memorable. But I think this is more. I'd lay this more on the story because all the other characters weren't memorable. Do you remember any of the characters' names offhand?
Lena, Luna, Liana. I don't know.
What I mean?
The woman's
that's what
name.
I'm saying. Is like there was no. Like the fact that no one was memorable just tells me more. It was on the story, not just.
So that's interesting too, because when this game was announced back in 2006, it was also announced alongside a movie about it called Wheelman. The Wheelman movie was supposed to be a sequel to this game. This game ends with the idea that, he's got another mission lined up to go do or something, right? That's apparently supposed to be the movie. Movie had a script. Movie had a director, a producer, had started at a date to start shooting, and then just nothing happened. We never heard about what happened about that. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the game probably sold really poorly, and that Midway kind of got folded into a merger or a purchase or whatever with Warner Brothers, etc. Maybe Vin was like, actually, this sucked. I don't want to do this. Who knows? But this is interesting, too, because this is the only Vin Diesel video game that isn't attached to a property. This is just an original thing. You know what I mean? This is an original thing on its own, which is interesting for him. But this goes to me like the story. I'm like, how much of this was supposed to be set up? You know, the plot synopsis, apparently, for the movie is that a woman from his past brings him back into something or yada yada. Is probably the woman in this game.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they don't do anything with her at the end. They're like, all right, she's dead, wink wink. Vin Diesel is saving her ass by saying that she's dead, wink wink, That, but it's interesting. One thing I was kind of upset about, I know we differ about the idea of quips in games, but this man does not talk during gameplay at all. He is the Hollywood actor on the cover.
Dude.
It's just surprising to me that he doesn't have anything to say.
Like, in a way, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a knock on him, I think, to a certain extent. That that this game's story is unmemorable. Is because when it was time for him to do something, we don't really remember what he did or what he said.
Imagine if he had a catchphrase whenever he airjacked. That would have been your quote, because that would have been ridiculous and funny. You know what I mean?
It would have gone old.
His personality is also not really one for much talking anyway, but we don't get any inner monologues about what he's thinking. Like, this a video game's prime for that. You know how many times you spent with just him, just driving? You know what I mean? Have some of his thoughts ringing through his head.
There was also, like, no radio. Like, I thought for sure there was going to be, like, a radio talking where it might have loosely connected to the story, being like, the local gangs have done this and blah, blah, blah. Wow, that's crazy. Well, what do you think? Blah, 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 blah. You know, like, something like that we've seen in all these types of games before, where it just loosely connects back to the lore, the setting you're in.
Unless that was a button we didn't find to turn a radio on, it doesn't exist.
There was just the same three songs, weird. Like action movie songs that were playing that weren't really...
They got one car license, Pontiac.
Yeah.
Everything else they just made up.
I think it was more of a budget issue, like you've been saying. I think everything's a budget issue, and that's why I think the story sucks. And why, like, there's some missing pieces maybe to make this game a little bit better, you know? But
it's just the back of this box, because I have the game right now in my hands, says the streets are his battleground, the car his weapon. Sounds like he is such a badass action star that has things to say in battle. You know what I mean? Instead, he is just so silent. But I think at the end of the day, this was probably a case of Vin Diesel was excited for a project, a brand new idea, a brand new story, IP, whatever he would have called it at the time. There are a brand new, venture that was a video game and a movie pitched together. Like, they're happening together. Like, because I'm pretty sure the idea was that the movie was going to come out alongside the game as well. Like, back to back. Not like, wait a couple years for the movie, like, they're done at the same time. That idea probably excited him, and then working on the game probably was actually not all that great, and that sullied his experience with it, and the game probably would have been better if, like, had more of that kind of stuff in it, if he was more interested in doing it. Because at the end of the day, if Vin Diesel doesn't want to do something in the game, that's it. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't force him to, especially if it's something that he is, like, a part of, It's supposed to be him. I don't know. Do you have anything else about this game?
Yeah, I just think this game would have helped with a better budget, maybe a bigger team or something like that. But overall, like, I don't think this game is terrible. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it has a charm to it that makes it memorable at moments in terms of its gameplay. Like, for me, when I hear Vin Diesel, this is one of the things I think of is this game. Maybe not for everybody else, but now seeing it when I was younger and now actually playing it, it kind of just, I guess, it doesn't make it a cornerstone of Vin Diesel's career, but it's like a little... It's a
weird footnote.
Yeah.
A weird, interesting, this is on the tapestry of Vin Diesel's life. This is the weird tassel in the corner that is different from the other corners. This is a weirdly shaped piece.
If you have attention to detail, you ask about it, and then someone tells you what it is.
Exactly.
But I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I had a good time playing it with you. We played it all in one go. So part of the ending was frustrating for us, but that's just because we played it for 9 hours straight. We played it all in one go, and it was a fun time. I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad it exists in his vast history of
saying,
stuff.
I'm glad it exists as a thing, even outside of this. Like, I'm glad that, like, it exists, because, like I said, I think there's some things you could pull away from this that maybe bigger game titles can add to or be inspired by.
I'll tell you this right now. I don't know who owns the rights to Wheelman the game. There's no reason not to make a sequel. The ideas there are solid.
Remake. Yeah. Something.
You could just do it again. You know what I mean? Vin Diesel, get up on that. Just make another Wheelman. Have someone else do it, Because, like, the Fast and Furious Crossroads game that came out last year, actually about this time last year, that we didn't play. We will play at some point, obviously for the podcast here when it comes time. But like at some point or whatever. That was made by Codemasters that makes, I believe they made the Dirt games, which are racing games. So like they obviously aren't dumb enough to just hand it over to just the cheapest mobile game studio they could find. You know what I mean? Like it was smart enough. Like even for this game, they found people that made racing games and they made good racing elements. You can hand this property to Codemasters. I heard Crossroads wasn't great, but you can hand it to someone and give them a little bit more budget. You know what I mean? And they can make a good one.
I know
there's no reason
everyone hates
not to.
EA, but like, get the people who did Burnout to do it.
The people themselves that made Burnout are not at EA anymore.
Wherever they are,
they're making their own Burnout. They actually, the team that made Burnout, the main people behind that, they made their own indie studio, and they made a indoor mini golfing game that was the Burnout elements, but like destroying a kitchen or something like that. And then now they're making essentially their own Burnout, which is interesting. But yeah, no, give it to someone like them. Give it to anyone. There's no reason not to. Like even with Escape from Butcher Bay, like yes, we'll be playing the sequel next month, but like assuming that that game isn't just the worst thing in the world, who knows? It probably is. But assuming, like, even the idea is there's nothing wrong with
them. That's the thing
them.
is, I'm not looking forward to that one, just based off our first experience. Like, this one...
And knowing that it's not as well received.
And going into this, I was excited, because I was like, I remember this game, I remember it being goofy as hell, and it had some interesting mechanics, and it held up to that. In terms of the gameplay, it held up to that expectation, I guess, my past memory. I know you're going in more blind, but like I said, I'm glad this happened. I think it'd be cool if someone came back into this and fixed some things and retouched it. Even if you did like a straight not remaster, but a remake of it, where like graphically, maybe add some new features to it. Maybe touch up the gunplay a little bit. Like
yeah. Again, like I feel like people probably look at this game as a movie license type of thing, and it's not. Like, yeah, there are movie licensed games that like, no, don't make another one of these. There's no reason to, just don't do it. Here, there's no reason not to, besides just the risk of it not making your money back. You know what I mean? Like, there's solid ideas here. So, I think that's it for this. Let's rank it, though.
Yeah.
So, on the Chronicles of Diesel, we rank everything Vin Diesel in two different forms. Just overall, just the movie, which most of it's movies. This is the second game we've done, so I guess this counts whatever for that. We rank them just as the entire thing on its own. Then we also rank Vin Diesel's performance specifically. So ranking this in our actual regular rankings, it goes as follows. Number 1, Saving Private Ryan. Number 2, Triple X. Number 3, The Fast and the Furious. Number 4, The Iron Giant. Number 5, Awakenings. Number 6, Fast and Furious. That was last month. Number 7, A Man Apart. Number 8, Find Me Guilty. Number 9, Boiler Room. Number 10, The Chronicles of Riddick. Number 11, Pitch Black. Number 12, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Number 13, Knockaround Guys. Number 14, The Pacifier. Number 15, Babylon AD. Number 16, Los Bandoleros. Number 17, The Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay. Number 18, Multifacial. Or number 20, The Chronicles... Or number 19, The Chronicles of Riddick Dark Fury. And number 21, Strays. Number 20, Strays. I have the numbers mixed up.
I was going to say,
that's the order.
I'm looking at our list and I'm like, do I have the most updated one? Because I'm going to confuse with the number.
I preemptively moved a chunk down because I think we're both going to be in agreement. I think that this is personally at least, and probably at most, better than Escape from Butcher Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The only other thing is, like, we think it's better than Los Bandoleros? You could argue back and forth.
I think...
I'm going to say no.
Really? I thought Los Bandoleros was cool. That it was more of a serious... I guess it was from... All Vin Diesel directed it, right? And all that. Mm-hmm. And it was more of a artsy Fast and Furious short. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, what really happened in it besides, he met Han, like, story-wise wasn't too much going on. So besides that, it was really only the cinematography, and it was like a refreshing take for like the 15 minutes it was. When this game we played for 9 hours straight, and we had fun most of the time, besides a couple levels or towards the end where we were just getting grumpy from playing a video game for 9 hours straight. So I feel like it's better than that, just because the fact that we had to play it for 9 hours, 9.5 hours, 10 hours, however long it took us to beat it, and we still came away enjoying it and had a lot of good thoughts, more so than negative thoughts. I think it's just like in terms of it had the quality and the quantity. When Los Bandoleros
had bad things in it too, but
Los Bandoleros
overall
had
there is something to walk away from
Yeah.
and be like, that was cool.
No one needs to watch Los Bandoleros. Let's be real. Like
Honestly,
no one needs to watch that. Like even if you're a Fast and Furious fan, you probably don't need to watch it. If you're really into the lore, even then, I still think there's really nothing there besides just like it kind of touches on
the things that are just inferred anyway. Yes, they were stealing the oil in the beginning of Fast and Furious for a reason. Here is the reason, but it doesn't matter. He knows Han because he said that. Here is him showing proof that he was with Han at some point prior. Okay, you've changed my mind. I just didn't know if I was getting too crazy by putting the Wheelman up there.
I mean,
now my next thing, is this better than Babylon AD though? And I don't know, because we walked away from that movie with a very bad impression. It started off really good, but then it was like,
the first half was solid.
What are you doing?
First half was solid and interesting, and then it quickly.
I wouldn't even say first half. I would say like the first third. Right?
Yeah, and then it went further and further down. It was a roller coaster, but it never went back up. Yeah, and then I feel like this was more of it had a quick high for me, and then we stayed in like a fourth gear for most of the game.
Are we really doing this? Are we really having Wheelman climb the ranks?
I don't.
Okay, next up, the pacifier.
I mean, it's hard to rank a video game according to comparing it to a movie. But honestly, no interest in watching Babylon AD again. No interest in watching Los Bandoleros again, unless he made a sequel. Wheelman, I probably would not play again. But
there's a couple easy trophies I might go for on stream one day.
But it's something that the fact that we want a remaster of it, I think says something. Do we want a remake of Babylon AD? Do we want a remake of the pacifier? Those are the kind of questions we need to ask ourselves. I think it, honestly, if we're instead of doing this one at a time, I think the highest it will go, though. Actually, now I'm looking at it, I think it only is higher than the pacifier, or lower than it. I think this is where it ends. I don't think it's going to that much higher. Knockaround Guys, I think, was generally fine. But it wasn't, terrible or anything like that, so...
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my personal enjoyment of that film. I did not really like that movie at all, but it was interesting in the execution on some of the stuff. It's like the Seth Green with the airport stuff was actually really interesting, and that was, some of the best parts in the movie. And then there was, the classic, you've been double-teamed by the uncle.
It felt more like
time.
a Hollywood film than a lot of the other stuff we watched.
Well, The Pacifier is definitely a Hollywood cash grab film that is classic Disney live action.
But we liked The Pacifier, though, That's where I'm going. For me, it ends here. I just don't know if it's above or below The Pacifier.
I'm going to put it above The Pacifier. I think... Oh,
so I don't know, because I feel like the quality... that's a pacifier. It's this amazing film, but I know we've always done tiers and general tiers that we've kind of worked with. I feel like it's Babylon AD is the top of the stinker tier, and that's not to say Los Bandoleros is bad, but it's just not enough there for me to like I said, warrant me watching again. It was cool, but it was whatever at the same time. You know what I mean? Cool. I would love to see maybe this is a full-fledged film, and then maybe we could start talking about it being in our B tier. But to me, this is the bottom of this is the D and C tier right here. That's where Pacifier is at the bottom of the maybe the
C.
Yeah.
Bottom of C.
C ends, I think, around Chronicles of Riddick. Maybe we're getting into B territory with Boiler Room, Find Me Guilty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so
I feel like this could be at the bottom of the D tier. This could be the bottom of the D tier, but I feel like this game...
I feel like the only thing, by the way, that's in the F tier is just Strays, because at least Dark Fury was, like, interesting.
I'm fine putting it above
Strays
Pacifier. I'm just making sure that we're okay with that.
Out of the 2 video games we played, I will go back to Wheelman. There are at least 2 easy trophies there, and I had a fun time. If it wasn't super great in its scope, and like the story wasn't all that exciting, it was still nonetheless. At first, I had a Twitter notification. I thought it was finally Yoko Taro following me on Twitter, because I told him to. I just tweeted at him, "Follow me," because he retweeted someone asking why he follows so many weird people. In any case, so it wasn't about that. Yeah, okay, I think we're settled then. To reiterate the list quickly, we have Saving Private Ryan at first. Then we have Triple X, The Fast and the Furious, The Iron Giant, and Awakenings rounding out our top 5. Fast and Furious, which is the 4th one in that series. A Man Apart, Find Me Guilty, Boiler Room, and The Chronicles of Riddick are bottom 10, or bottom 5 of the top 10, if that makes sense. 11 is Pitch Black. Then we have Tokyo Drift, Knockaround Guys, number 14, Wheelman.
Top 15, baby.
Number 15, The Pacifier. Then Babylon AD, Los Bandoleros, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, the longest title on this rankings, which screws up my graphic. Had to make the font so tiny for that. Multifacial, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury, and at number 21, Strays. I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good placement for it. We're giving it more credit. No, we're giving it enough credit, if that makes sense, because I feel like it needs to be not just, okay, just above Escape from Butcher Bay, because it is a better game, if that makes sense. It is just a better game, therefore, but it's not as good as the Hollywood movies.
I know a lot of people probably
so
crap on this game because of the year it came out in, but really it's not that bad. It has some bad elements to it, but like there's a lot of charm, like I said, that I think other games are missing. That maybe probably were rated higher by other game review outlets, I'm sure.
The fact that we want a sequel to this is a good sign in of itself of its quality, in my opinion. So next, let's talk about Vin Diesel's performance. We spoke about his performance already, but just to reiterate very fast, didn't necessarily feel like it was phoned in, but at the same time wasn't all that amazing. A typical character he's done. And he was clearly the best, but that's probably because he was supposed to be.
Wasn't he
best.
Executive producer too, technically? Yeah, keep that in mind. Remember it saying that.
Believe so.
And also when it said the who was in it, it said starring Vin Diesel, and that was it. Remember that?
Yeah. That's right. When the credits roll, it just said starring Vin Diesel. They let that scroll by on its own for the whole screen, and then it's like, all right, any other actors? No, we're moving on.
Very weird.
Yeah. So keeping all that stuff in mind, here is our Vin Diesel performance ranking for all the things we already talked about. Number 1, Triple X. Number 2, The Fast and the Furious. Number 3, Fast and Furious. Number 4, Find Me Guilty. Number 5, A Man Apart. Number 6, The Pacifier. Number 7, The Chronicles of Riddick. Number 8, Babylon AD. Number 9, Los Bandoleros. Number 10, Boiler Room. Number 11, Multifacial. Number 12, Pitch Black. Number 13, Knockaround Guys. Number 14, Strays. Number 15, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. Number 16, The Iron Giant. Number 17, Saving Private Ryan. Number 18, The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. Number 19, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. And number 20, Awakenings. This is only going to get harder the more things we add.
I keep forgetting we put Escape from Butcher Bay because it was so bad under Tokyo Drift where he has a cameo for, 15 seconds?
Here is my thing.
I mean, I agree with it still. It's just funny, like on face value.
Here's my thing about this movie, or this game that we just played. I want to put it just under Tokyo Drift as well, because I feel like Vin Diesel has more charisma and charm in that one fucking scene than he has in this entire game. even though it doesn't necessarily feel like he phoned it in, it's not memorable. You couldn't even remember a line he said, and we played this yesterday for 9 hours. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. It's just funny. I think on face value, like you'd think that like okay, played it like he's in a whole ass video game. Gotta give some cred. But the fact that you just said it, and I'm like, honestly, yeah, because I'm like looking above it. I'm like, maybe I'd hear an argument for above it because of just the quantity of scenes and whatnot. We've had that discussion before. It's hard to gauge sometimes how much you put into quantity versus quality. I always think you should go quality, but at the same time, if you have an actor do one line in a movie, I don't think that does anything really. It could be a great executed line, but like if you just did all right in another movie, I feel like that's going to win out most times. But I kind of agree though that it wasn't the fact that it was like we don't really remember what he said or anything. That is a knock on him. That is a knock on him.
I can't remember a single line.
I don't think it was bad.
Exactly. It's just not memorable. I can't remember a single line he said in this whole game, but I do remember. But he was when he was rolling with me.
Yeah, the Tokyo
and I
Drift
remember
line.
that.
Yeah.
So like, yes, I think honestly, but yes, I do think this is better than Escape from Butcher Bay though. So I think this is literally at our new number 19.
If there's, we were talking about tiers again. 19 now 20 and 21 are just not even F. It's just like
whatever.
Like Awakenings, it's kind of like not his fault because he was just in it for one frame. But like we really didn't see him do anything besides open a gate. We could have done that scene. They could have put one of us in there.
That's what being an extra is about.
Yeah, I know. Like,
yeah.
We could have opened the gate and been like, "Look, Mom," you know what I mean? Like, so like it isn't really on him. But yeah, Butcher Bay was. It sounded like he phoned it in. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I would be interested to see where we will put the next video game, which is what we're doing next month.
Our expectations are low, so maybe that can help it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what the story's about. Like,
I hope he didn't.
Chronologically,
if it's just like Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, or worse, it's going to be a long day. I'm not looking for it. I'm about ready to. Like, I don't drink, but I might have to bring a beer. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of energy.
We might split it up into 2 days if we plan ahead, because there's other stuff we need to do when we hang out as well for the show, not just hanging out to hang out.
We don't hang out to hang out. We don't do that anymore.
Exactly.
Everything we do is
forever. Exactly. But yes, we have 21 things now on our 2 lists.
We're old, and enough to drink.
Well, I don't think that's how it works. Quantity, not time.
The Vin ranking,
okay,
ranking thing could drink. I don't know how that would work, but you know what I mean. 21, good number.
Sure, exactly. And if you want to know our full thoughts on all the other things, listen to those episodes. We go in depth on those. I do want to point out though, our number 2, 3, and actually, I guess I had that wrong. Our top 3 Vin Diesel performance ranking ones, Triple X, The Fast and the Furious, and Fast and Furious, are also like in the top 6 of the movie ranking, the regular ranking list.
So there's some correlation there.
There's a correlation. Obviously, Vin Diesel lifts something up. And this is one of the examples of it not being enough.
Yeah.
He was the title person. The game is technically called Vin Diesel Wheelman. Twitch has 2 different categories because whoever was behind the sticks there didn't realize that there's just one game and not 2 different ones, right? Yeah, but it's not enough. He's the title guy. It's not enough.
Higher expectations.
And no, having his character model be the driver doesn't count. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Not that it looked good anyways.
Whatever. So many seams. You could see the polygon seams like way too much. It wasn't great. But yeah, so I think this will about wrap it up for this episode of the Chronicles of Diesel. Remember, folks, to follow the show on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show, which is the name of our regular podcast, which we do weekly.
By the way, we talked about some clips that happened or, ragdolls. Maybe after this episode goes up, I'll be posting some of those clips, or we could figure out a way to post some of those clips on Twitter to share them. So in case you missed the stream or whatnot, you can go check it out there. We'll post the funny moments.
We'll tweet out all the clips around the time this episode goes up or whatever. You'll see some of these moments. But yeah, we streamed it on Twitch. We'll be doing the same thing with next month's episode of Chronicles of Riddick, or Chronicles of Diesel, which is about the Chronicles of Riddick Assault on Dark Athena. So it's going to be another fun time for us.
I hope
I've been streaming on my personal Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. If you follow that, you'll know when we'll go live about this game. And follow Devin on Twitter at CURSONAFUN. F-U-N. Cursona Fun.
Thinking of like Funyuns.
Exactly. Cursona Fun. Follow him on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. You'll find out when we go live on Twitch when we play Assault on Dark Athena for next month. We'll see you on August 1st. Goodbye.
What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race. Ride or die, remember?